welcome to this week's edition of Rising Tides, the greatest twice a week check in of your community living. And today, Shawn and the crew have handed over the reins to myself, Jason Berkowitz, and the amazing Laura Wilber. And Laura, what are we going to talk about today? And then introduce yourself.
Excellent. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I am so happy that we are here with you. And today we're going to talk about mind mapping. When Jason brought this up as an idea for a topic, I was very excited. And I wasn't sure if other people would be excited too, but I know you're excited, Jason. Mind mapping is something that I've used to organize thoughts, to sort of reel in my dreams and goals and tasks for many, many years. And so I'm very excited to get into it. I'll introduce myself, and my name is Laura. I believe that showing up is 80% of success. And when we show up consistently, we're unstoppable. I'm in the business of showing up for my restaurant clients and bringing friends. And what that means by friends, I mean 21 million expense account diners who are traveling for business, looking for great restaurants for their teams, for dine-in, carry-out, ordering, catering, and in some cases, private events and even buyouts. So let's get into it, Jason.
And to
Can you
take a step
introduce
back,
yourself?
a page out of Shawn Walchef's book that we open up, and forgive me, Shawn, I forgot to start off with, is how you do your little dance, and you
Woo!
introduce you do your little dance and you introduce what the series is about. So our great producers can cut this at the beginning. My name is Jason Berkowitz, longtime restaurant operator and partner and founder of Arrow Up Training. We help restaurants satisfy compliance, level up their teams, and develop supervisors into leaders. Currently working on the Arrow Up operating system, combining all the best practices from all the great experts out there to bottle up in an off-the-shelf product for small to mid-size operators to just turn it on and go. And I was excited when Laura and I were talking about, thank you, Shawn, good for the dance. I was excited this week to talk about mind mapping because what sounds like something of this, like, what is mind mapping, right? It sounds like there should be a PowerPoint behind it, is actually one of the most incredible tools that I find I can use not only for building goals for a company. If you have, let's say, you're a Gino Wickman fan in the entrepreneur operating system, for planning a party, for figuring out where you need to go, and for even myself therapy and with friends. And mind mapping, Laura, far better at communicating things clearly. How would
Oh,
you describe mind mapping to the audience?
oh my goodness. Okay. So mind mapping is really starting with a central idea or theme and then using it to kind of visually and by actually writing, creating a circle with your main theme, and then from there having spokes coming out with different ideas. So many of us have done brainstorming sessions in the past, either in
Brainstorming, great
groups.
word.
Yeah, either in groups or even by yourself. You can do brainstorming. The question that you ask yourself in brainstorming is, in what ways might I, or in what ways might we? And for me, with my mind mapping, that's the way that I approach it. I say, you mentioned, Jason, party planning. I'll jump right into an example of a time that I used mind mapping very quickly and effectively. And I shared this with you, but my
I
son
love this.
graduated from college last May. The question was, in what ways might I celebrate Nick Wilber in his accomplishment of graduating college with his accounting degree? And so I started with that, just celebrate Nick's graduation. And I can just show
Why don't you
you.
show us? And
All
by the
right.
way, here's a fun thing for those that are tuning in and sticking around. We're going to show you some mind map examples. And then if you're up for it, think about it. We are going to mind map with you.
Yes,
So this is an interactive experience, everybody.
it
Laura, take it
absolutely
away.
is.
So
Yay.
uh,
Okay.
what I see in
So
front of you is the main idea.
That's the main idea. So what I love about it, and what you can see behind me, is a picture of kind of a sunset theme. So I think of my mind map as a sun, and this is the center of the sun. And then the rays coming out, radiating out, are the ideas. So all of the ways that we might celebrate Nick's graduation, right? So we could have a party.
Cool.
We could go on a trip.
He's a
Um,
lucky guy.
with his friends or our family. Are we seeing this?
Yeah.
We could give him cash.
He's an extremely lucky guy.
I know, right? Can you think of any other ways we could celebrate other than a party, a cash gift, a trip for
Community
graduation?
service.
Community service. Okay. See, there are no bad ideas in mind mapping or brainstorming. So,
No,
and
that's what's great
even
about it.
the more outrageous, the better in most cases.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know that Nick would, choose this one, Jason, but what a better way to celebrate your graduation? Okay, can
To
you think
show
of another one?
your service to others, right? So we
Yeah.
got a party, we have a trip, we have okay, uh presents.
Yeah. Okay. So other like a physical present of some sort,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
some
yeah.
people get a watch or something like that.
Right, right.
Um, okay. So those are just, some ideas. You can get more. But what we decided to do, I thought he might want to do a trip with his buddies. They never got it together. So I said, okay, we'll just do a little family trip. Circled that one. He got to bring one friend. We ended up going to Puerto Vallarta on a surf trip. He loves to surf. We also had a little party with his roommates and their families, just something small. And he also got a little bit of a cash gift. So this does not take too long, and that's one way to use a mind map.
Dinner's out at Cali
Oh,
Barbecue.
oh,
Yes, Richard.
yes.
Absolutely.
You know
So
what? We could have done a dinner out.
now, a lot of times my experience is this is great on a big whiteboard and whatnot, but having most of us just have pens and paper in front of us. Let's do this. Flip the page and let's focus in on one of those circles right now and use it as an
Okay.
example of how we would do this. If I may, right? I want to
Yeah.
carry this with you. Let's go party.
Okay.
So party is now your son, right? Now, if
Yes.
everyone watching, imagine you're on a big whiteboard or whatnot, or just a larger piece of paper. Now we have party. So what you're going to think about is leaving room, and you could spoke out, longer spokes, shorter spokes to fill this in. We're going to say venue, right? So venue. Another spoke is going to be music.
Mm.
Another spoke is going to be food. Another one is going to be attire, right? What am I going to wear?
Or a
And
theme.
then theme. Well, attire was this, but yes, theme.
Okay.
Um, and do we have food? We had food.
Yep.
Do we have
Guest list.
guest lists? Great. So let's pick one of those now. Let's say um, theme, right? Which one do you feel most comfortable filling in right now?
I'd say theme.
Cool. Let's go theme.
Okay.
Now, under theme, this really starts to become a word association in my experience. And that's what's great about the brainstorming phase is just get it down on paper because then you're going to turn it into these functional task items that you know so you don't forget anything, right? So theme. What are things we got to think about, or do you want to just start brainstorming themes or say what
Yeah.
the theme was?
Yeah, I'll share for another party.
Yeah.
I just kind of thought about like what does Nick like? I already shared he's a surfer. We live near the beach in San Diego. So a couple theme ideas came out with that, which was
Okay.
like surf and safari
And you
theme.
can these are all
So a
ideas that
surf
you're
theme,
right.
maybe a Hawaiian theme.
Hawaiian theme. Cali barbecue theme.
Yeah. Do you have any other ideas for a theme based on what
Um,
he likes basketball too? So we could have it be like
Pokemon.
a okay
Pokemon's a
Pokemon
wonderful
theme.
graduation theme.
Yeah, dress up like your favorite Pokemon character, and we'll go do community service.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that fantastic. Sports, right? Basketball.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
then what's great is after we would pick one, now let's say we picked a theme, let's say it was basketball, then you would break that into a smaller, right, circle. You would break that into a smaller one and say, well, now that we've picked out basketball, what do we have to think about, right? We got to think about um
Decoration.
streamers, decorations.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's getting the point now is you keep breaking this off into these subcategories that then will turn into a checklist, is how I do it. How do you do it next?
I think, I just end up circling what I go with. And I like, once you get your theme, everything else becomes easier because clearly, you can figure out how to decorate for a basketball theme party. Maybe you have like a basketball hoop and a shooting contest. Maybe you have fun little sliders that are, I don't know, if you could like, if you got really creative, you could sort of brand them with a
Yeah,
basketball on top.
yeah.
You could do you could do cupcakes, basketball theme, all kinds of fun stuff like that.
You could put all of his friends who are showing up at the party with, you could print out gift card or player cards, almost like
Oh
tradable
my
player cards that they
gosh,
get to go home with, right?
that's fun.
And their
Yes,
stats
love
on
it.
it, right? We've got this. Now we're
Okay.
brainstorming a party business, and we wanted to think about, let's brainstorm a party business, right? Let's use that as an example. We are the party crew. And here, you want me to jump in? I'll jump in
Yes.
for this one. Let's
Thank you.
pretend we're doing a party business, okay? Because we all have businesses. Your writing is so much better than mine.
I doubt it.
Party business. Okay. Did you go the other way? Yeah, you were smart. You went this way. Okay. Um, which means I could have flipped that, but we're here nonetheless. So, party business. What do we need to think about? We need to think about gimmicks that make us cool. What makes us different, right? We need, if you can read that, we need to think about marketing. Marketing. We need to think about what themes we like to be in, right? We need to think about money. What else do we need for starting a business? Oh, business stuff. So let's talk about business stuff. Can you read this okay?
Yes.
Good. It's fantastic. Um, tell you a funny story. Everyone wants to know a funny
Please.
story, I
We
think.
love a
And
story.
we all get personal. So I'm in college, and those of you who've been on know that I have a husband, and I call myself the gay Jewish mother of the community, and
Rabbi.
and the rabbi and the reverend. And in college, I was dating a girl, one of the last girls, and her mom analyzed handwriting for a living. And she said he's a lefty, but he writes like a righty, or he writes in righty, but he's a lefty. And I was like, no, she missed the real big one that I was not being as honest about. But I am a righty who just writes sloppy. There you go. That one's for you, Shawn. Um, so business stuff, right? Let's think about business stuff. Business stuff is licenses, right? We need to think about insurance. What else?
Are we
So we're
talking
starting a
about
business.
expenses?
Yeah, sure. Expenses. Well, that's more money.
Oh,
Money
okay.
would be expenses,
Obviously, like rent or location for our business, employees,
rent. Oh, location.
where we
That's a good
want to
one.
be.
You know, office. And if you're seeing this, right, now what's great is you're exploring all of this and then you're going to break it down. How many people do we have? Staff. And so we're answering these questions, but we don't know what we need to answer until we mind map. And um, so business stuff. So licenses. So now after licenses, and I know it's getting sloppy, but mine gets sloppy. You're all sticking with me. What kind of licenses? So selling, like you just kind of go through it, and then you would break this down into an action item. And what I do is I then turn this into, when eventually I'm done, I would turn it into a list that says, okay, so um, licenses. What do I need to get? So business. Well, how and a due date that I need to do it, right? And so you start to put these check marks together, and you start to put that together in a list of getting stuff done, which started with a simple thing that said, we're going to launch a party business. Under gimmicks is where we would have fun and say, okay, we're going to do baseball cards, right, for each person, or like things that separate us.
Yeah, things
How am
that
I
are
doing over
fun.
there?
Thank you. Yes, and I'd love to back up too and just share that, Jason and I know that there are a lot of AI tools that can make this really fast. So once you get to the idea, once you've narrowed down your idea, you can put it into ChatGPT or your chosen um, large language model AI and ask them for a checklist and it'll come right out. But we both, Jason and I, believe that stopping to understand what is important to you and what is exciting to you by doing mind mapping and just dedicating time to actually think. And I posted on LinkedIn yesterday a quote by Warren Buffett, who, to paraphrase, says something like, "The most important thing I do is dedicate time to think."
Yeah, that's
And so
great.
this is a chance for you to think about, what am I blocked on? What's holding me back? Why am I procrastinating something? And what is it? For me, some my submitting my expense account at work. Just don't really have fun doing it. I know that it's important to do. I have to do it, but I could do a mind map and say, all right, for next month, how do I overcome this expense account report submission procrastination? In what ways might I get better at this? And then have the different spokes figure out what's exciting to me and then implement it.
Yeah, I think it's great, and we've talked about examples of, and we'll bring in the audience in just a few, the group
Yay.
to participate with us. But even thinking of marketing goals, or hitting, for let's say, to own a business, and achieving these targets. So I have a target, let's say, that I know I need to earn. Let's say you want to earn $1,000 in a month, right? And so that's your target for next month. You're just using something simple. And how would I get it? Well, you start with that amount, then you spoke off different. We've turned that into a verb now. Spoke off different ways that you could target it in, let's say courses, sell individual courses, work for hire, licenses. Okay, well, courses. How do I sell courses? Well, I'm going to target this many people, or these are the people I could target. And you break that down even further, that then says, okay, I know that if I wake up every day and I email 3 people and I do this, that is what I'm doing to work its way up to the center goal of achieving my target. So it's amazing for hitting business goals. It's also amazing for understanding that you're setting the right business goals, because as somebody once said, I think it was Gino Wickman, which was great, which said, you can have everybody efficiently rowing, but if you're rowing in the wrong direction, you're just going further away from where you need to go faster, right? And so that's something that I think is real important. One other fun thing of mind mapping is really in the personal. And I remember there was a friend who was struggling with walking into work, and they couldn't really put it down, as far as they just didn't feel as productive, and there were things that they were struggling with. And so I said, okay, you walked in the door, and we used it as a word association. And I said, you walked in the door. What's the first feeling you're feeling right now? Let's imagine you're walking in the door. Scared. Okay, scared. What's the next feeling after scared? Um, Lack of confidence. So we had scared, right? So work you had. And they walk in the door. They had beautiful handwriting. And then scared. And then I said, what's another? So from scared, confidence, lack of confidence. And I said, well, why lack of confidence? And it was prioritizing getting things done. They didn't feel like they were prioritizing getting things done. And so we moved to time management. And then we went down to, well, so you feel like you don't have confidence in your time management, and therefore you feel like you're not participating or earning your way. Yes. And then what are the top problems that you have when you walk in the door? And then what happens? And they said, well, I don't know where to begin, right? No, I don't know where to start. And I said, okay. And anyways, we kept going. And what we came down to was, before they walk out the door the night before, they make a list of what their day looks like tomorrow. And we found out that by just making a list the night before of the priorities, that really helped them. Now I said, how do you know what that list is? And then we went back from there and we said, well, I guess I got to start with what's my weekly list and then break that up. And so make a night before came to make a start of the week list. And basically, without going too deep, if everyone's understanding this, is what we figured out was, at the start of every week, they have a list of what needs to be accomplished. And the way you do it, and Richard from Richard Solutions, probably great at guiding people with this, is who's on with us, is, what are the main things you got to hit and the smaller things. And they then start off each week with a list of the big stuff and the little stuff. Every night, every day, it gets broken down. Every night they finish that small list. So when they walk in the next day, they know exactly what they're supposed to start with. And that carries them to the end of the week, where they finish off the list and start Monday's list on Friday. Did that kind of, you know what I'm saying, is not to jump, but I know we want to bring people in here. And so it became, yep. And so they
Yeah.
started off as blocked at work and how they were feeling. And we realized that and it just started with this word association of how I felt. And I just kept asking, and it moved through. And the answers. It's about just getting out of your way. Then it becomes, are they going to do the list? Now, if they don't do the list the night before, well, now that's on them. But the whole
Yep.
thing was, this helped figure out what needs to happen in these small micro steps to then feel accomplished and feel like they're managing their time and feel better walking into work, right?
Yeah. I have two more applications for this. Another one is when you're learning. So it's conference season. A lot of us are going to conferences. Many of us like to take notes to have ideas on what to follow up with. If going back and rereading your notes from attending a lecture or something is really boring and really kind of hard to find the important things. But if you do it as a mind map, and you put the topic of the panel or the talk in the middle, and then write down in the spokes, what's important to you, what's exciting to you, and what are some of the action items that you can take from each of these spokes, each of the ideas. So it's a great learning tool.
Yeah.
And so much about being happy at work is maintaining some level of fun and creativity. And so Jason and I are just encouraging you to try something different. Try to take notes in a mind mapping way and see if you find it more fun. And, so that's definitely one way. And then another way is just for goal setting too, and understanding what's important to you. What area of your life might you want to expand on or have more joy in? and write that in the center, and then think of in what ways might I expand my joy in this arena of life.
It was real. I love this, and was so close working with my husband on the idea of that. I believe that everyone needs creativity in their life, and I was sort of putting this on, being like, you need to have an easel, like you need to have this, like you're an incredible artist and do this. And what we came through was just wrote down joy or wrote down creativity and spoke off all of these different things. And then what we came to is just by throwing little dinner parties, which is such a creative expression, we were satisfying that element of creativity, which is satisfying that element of growth and joy and all of that. So thank you for bringing that up, of how in all ways, right? It's just this brainstorming of it. Put something in the center and spoke off and break that into maybe it's not even action items. It's just getting to the root of something.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, if you're ready, thank you, everybody. I know but hopefully everyone's enjoyed this. I mean, to have Laura's time, there helping us is worth everything. So, hopefully, if Mike, we're ready.
Maddie, Richard, great to see you.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Just
Tom, welcome. Shawn.
And to all those on YouTube.
Yay, Elizabeth. I like your whiteboard. Are you mind mapping over there?
Thank you.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom. Good stuff. All right. So,
hi, Ian.
We're going to kick this. We're going to go around. And as you know, the way we do what we do is, Elizabeth, we'll start with you to kick it off with us, is take the 60 seconds, introduce to us, tell us who you are, what you're working on today, and what is something that you've either mind mapped that has helped you or something you would like us all to mind map together. I got an echo. Does anyone else have an echo?
Yes, there is an echo, but so everybody make sure that muted. If you're on mobile, sometimes it won't mute you, just so you know, even if it says it's muted. So if you get moved to the green room, just please understand it's because you're winning. We need to win. Okay, so I was super excited about this conversation. My name is Elizabeth Doss. I am a motion graphic designer. I specialize in animated GIFs for social media, and I help brands and businesses with their stickers in Instagram and comments on LinkedIn, on Facebook, in TikTok, all these places. If you're interested in that, I would love to talk about it. So I have so many things that when I heard about this room, it's one of my favorite things. And Richard told me to bring my homework with me. Guys, I've been updating my to-do list to make it much more fun. So I have started making these magical to-do lists so that I will enjoy myself. And today's was sponsored by the fact that I was super hungry. And so I wanted breakfast, but I had to wait for James to get here. So I made my to-do list and drew in my eggs and bacon and all that stuff. So I did want to say, but for the part of this where you're breaking it down into its smallest common denominator, like smallest bits, I've noticed for myself that I get overwhelmed if I think of the whole task. But if I can break it down into its very smallest part, then that would be amazing. So Shawn has given me permission, by the way, to go on field trips. So I'm going to share my screen just very quickly, just do my entire screen because it'll be easier that way. I might have to minimize us so you don't see you in perpetuity. Okay. Let me know. Oh, I guess I can't see. Very quickly, you asked if I wanted to show two things really quick. In Canva, they have a place that you could do mind mapping within Canva, where it's called Whiteboard, and it's this infinite place that you can do things. This is actually from a thing I did with Canva. Anyway, doing some AI training stuff, but not me being trained, not me training them. But I did want to show you, you can make your own little Post-it notes, you can add other things, and you can share this space so that people can mind map with you from all over the world. But guess what? There's another version of this called Freeform. I don't know if you can see my little thing down here in the corner. This app is on your phone. It can be on your iPad, can be on your computer, but it is another place to dump ideas and make connections and add links and do all this kind of stuff. Can be a shared board as well, but it's an Apple app called Freeform, and it's on all of your devices, so you can have a digital version of the mind mapping side of things. So I wanted to throw that in there for you guys to check out. And if you're interested, I'd be happy to go into more. But I did a speech on a lesson on some social media stuff, and I had my mind map with me. And so I thought I would run through this really quick. So for social media, for instance, doing a mind map, thinking about your product or your service, but thinking about it in the context of holidays. What does what you do look like when it comes to Christmas time? Like let's take Jason with working with people on the holidays. It's a pretty stressful time for people in the hospitality industry. And are we making a way for people to be able to think through how to help their teams during that time of year, et cetera? Life events. You were talking about the party planner thing. You need to think about what are the major life events that people might want to celebrate, and start mapping those out and thinking, how can I create content that tells the story of what our parties look like in celebrating someone's first home? Same with like Cali Barbecue. We were talking about, what do graduations look like through the lens of using Cali Barbecue to celebrate those life events? Pain points. Think about what's frustrating to your target audience, and you start digging into these specific things, things that you have in common with your target audience. So if you're a mom who is trying to find relaxation and you sell candles, well, you can highlight the relaxation part that your audience is dealing with. Again, that goes back to pain points, but doing that, and then things you could talk about all day, and use this place to start to fill in some of the areas that you can cross over, learning more about you, etc. Anyway, I'm was having a lot of fun with thinking through the mind mapping side of stuff. So check out Freeform and check out the Canva whiteboards if you're interested in mind mapping in collaborative places with people from all over the place. Anyway, I thank you guys so much for this conversation. I will hand it back to you.
Laura, I'll jump in. That's awesome. And
Incredible.
Incredible. Thank you for A, the tools, and B, it was really cool to see how you put that, right? Your products or services, to think about how that breaks out and just how organized it can be, as well as starting with your eggs and toast, how much fun it could be. Like mind mapping, it starts with doodling. You know what I mean? And it really starts with doodling. And look, this is digital hospitality, but sometimes we gotta go digital, sometimes we go analog, sometimes we play around with it, and you were able to satisfy your cravings and temporarily
Yes.
hold off like that. So that's amazing.
And
Ian,
Elizabeth,
great.
real
Sorry,
quick, Elizabeth,
take the lead.
love the colors, love the images. And I think that's part of what Jason and I were thinking with the old school paper and pen, getting, your hands involved and your body. There's something that helps us learn. We're on our computers so much. And again, there are so many great tools for this, and thank you for sharing them. You can also upload your handwritten mind map into AI, and it will come out again with a checklist. There's so many great tools, but I still encourage all of us to take that quiet time to think, and to really think about what's important to us, instead of just letting AI think about, what's important to everybody else. So thank you for sharing. Beautiful art.
It's amazing. I said, and Ian, I'm sorry, I paused for a second there, and Laura and I are co-hosting this, but Richard, I saw your I'm excited to jump in. I saw your chat, and I can't wait. So I need you to go next. You know the breakdown, the deal, but talk to us.
Hey, I'm Richard. I'm in the UK. I would do my 60-second spiel, but this mind mapping stuff's way more exciting. So about 20 minutes ago, I was listening to you guys whilst on YouTube, and I just got an email. And I've been invited to the Houses of Parliament for the launch of this major review. And to go once in a year is kind of like crazy, but to go twice is just, my mind's blown. And I've been contributing to or supporting this review on how can we support businesses with neurodivergence or disabled entrepreneurs. And it's really personal to me. And it is really exciting that this community has been supported. There's been a review for the past year and a bit that I've been supporting and encouraging people to get involved with. And they've invited me, and lots of other people who are way more important than me, to Parliament to do the launch of this. And I've kind of got this like initial excitement. And I did a post when I went last time, and it was great because I met some people from that I've mentored, etc., etc., etc. What's exciting about this is I've got an opportunity that is pretty unique to go inside like one of the most famous buildings in the world, to do something really kind of impactful. And where I need help mind mapping it, because my brain's kind of ADHD, so I love mind mapping. And I've been doing a little bit for my own business where I don't want to show you the quality of my drawing, because after Elizabeth, that nobody wants to go after Elizabeth. It's awful. But where I need your help mind mapping is, how do I make the most of this opportunity? Because it's not just about the opportunity from a social media perspective, and I welcome all ideas, but how can I make the most of this to create impact, not only for my business, but for my communities? And I sometimes think that when something like this drops, and we all know this with our businesses and our lives, and similar to when Laura was sort of sketching out the things for her son's graduation, it's like I find mind mapping is quite a good way of de-stressing and helping your brain get to the right answers. But I also like the bit of collectively doing it. So I welcome all suggestions, because my brain is almost, it's such a big thing. I almost don't know where to start. And what was really interesting watching you two with the whiteboard was how you broke it down and created all of those different ideas. So that's why I need your help. And also, I've got to make sure I don't pee myself with excitement. Apologies, an English word there.
So this is going between you and Laura. She's got the clean page ready, and I'm gonna. We can all jump in, but Laura, you are now directing this. And I'm sure Izzy Ink's got some stuff to add to it, but I'm excited to participate.
I would love everyone to jump in with ideas, because brainstorming is best when we have multiple minds and ideas coming up with an answer to the question, in what ways might I, Richard, maximize the impact of my next opportunity to visit Parliament? In what ways might I maximize this? So Izzy.
Yes. I do think that having the stories concisely, I think of Shawn and how he's taught us on here how to quickly and concisely tell the stories. And so collecting stories of neurodivergent business owners and their struggles, but also their successes, and having those in your back pocket, to not only when you're out and about, but even when you're in Parliament, that you've practiced them. So it's not like, oh, what was the name of that thing? But having those ready to go, which you do anyway, brilliantly, Richard. But I would collect stories, definitely.
So that was
Excellent.
Have stories ready to share, but as well be ready to ask and capture additional stories while there.
Okay.
That's great.
What are you going to wear, Richard?
Say, document.
Well, that's pretty simple. Check out these beautiful pink Nikes.
Whoa, those are going to get you noticed.
Absolutely. Kevin Durant aren't pearls. It's can't beat a pair of pink Nikes. That's not a problem. It's what I say that's worrying me.
Okay, so we've got your bling shoes. Anything else you can wear? Like Shawn has his Cali Barbecue Media hat on. I have my Dinova logoed sweater, Is there anything else you could wear to identify yourself as the ambassador of this community?
That's a good question. There's a little bit of me that I was originally thinking jeans, white shirt, nice jacket, but as maybe need a little hint of Richer Solutions on there.
Okay.
Need to
Think about that one.
You don't have a "Don't Be Boring" jacket?
I have a hoodie that's pink.
You have a what?
Oh my gosh!
I've got my hoodie, but it's kind of feels a little bit too cash.
Too cash for Parliament.
Too cash, but I do like the idea of a baseball cap saying "Don't be boring" and wearing that to Parliament. I think if that doesn't get me arrested, Shawn, I don't know what would.
Well, if you get arrested, can you please get it on video for us, for this community?
That would go viral.
That's what we need.
We can have a free Richard Liverman whole kind of hashtag. I like
Yes.
Could do the hoodie and sport coat, combo, maybe. Dress it up a little bit.
Oh, not bad. Okay. All right. Other ways that Richard might maximize his impact at his next opportunity to visit Parliament.
Yes. Get a guest list, Richard.
I apologize. I heard Richard say something, which was, I want to encourage those who think differently, that they need to not over humble themselves and to carry that confidence of who you are. You got invited. It doesn't matter who the hell else is coming. You're there. You're the boss.
So muster up your confidence.
And that comes down to how do you muster up
your associate this last week, just 2 days ago, and we talked about the imposter syndrome that hides behind our eyes, and we don't like to admit it, but it's there. And it's to encourage us to, you know what, we're so much more than that.
Tom, thank you. It's interesting when it comes to confidence. One of the things I do before I pitch is I'll have a playlist. And normally I have something, absolutely banging on there. And it was one of those things that when I went in January, before I went in, I put some music on, which did one of two things. One, it calmed me down, and two, it got the adrenaline pumping. And it was really, really helpful. So I massively appreciate that idea, Tom. Thank you.
Yes. Affirmations in the mirror. Hang on, Maddie. I want to hear your thought. But yeah, give yourself affirmations, practice. As Elizabeth said, practice your stories. You know your elevator pitch for your business, but do you have one for this community and this particular event?
And practice your questions.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm going to tell you that I'm speaking at, so I remind myself, but taking a look at who's going to be there. I know sometimes it's hard to get a guest list, but like, who are the speakers? Who are the people in Parliament? Like, understanding who's going to, but meet with them before you get there. Like, just ask them for a 10-minute Zoom call so they know who you are and you know who they are. So it's not the first time that they're meeting at this huge, I'm going to do it for Chicago. I'm saying, like I said, I'm saying this for myself to remind myself there's people that I want to strategically meet with at the National Restaurant Show in Chicago. And I'm going to go be proactive this year in setting up those meetings beforehand so that when we do meet in Chicago, it'll be hopefully the second meeting, if not third.
Maddie, you had an idea?
Yeah, so actually Shawn just nailed it, because that was something that everybody said to me for the convention that I just went to. So going in and knowing who I was meeting, that I already linked up with them and connected on LinkedIn, had a kind of targets in mind and conversations of who I wanted to talk to, and make sure that connection was made to be memorable. And then without a doubt, after the fact, it was a follow-up. And now these people are a part of my network going forward. So Shawn kind of just nailed it. That was exactly it. And it was very helpful for me last week.
That's awesome. And yeah,
Great job.
Also, Maddie, the follow-up too, because I'm saying this, like I said, to myself, meaning that I was just in Vegas. I had some incredible conversations with a lot of our Rising Tide community here, but a lot of people that I did not know. I have to follow up with them, because that's how you develop deep relationships, because you just don't know until you actually do that follow-up work.
Well, and actually capitalize on it. It's after the fact of meeting somebody. It's what are we going to do with this connection?
Yep. Correct.
Are these helpful, Richard? Any ideas spoke off for you from this?
Do you know what it is? It's actually quite liberating, because I think there's something as senior leaders that often we get stuck in our own heads, and it's quite nice hearing other people's thinking. And there's all those different strands, and Shawn's absolutely right. Sometimes you come up with ideas for people, and they also work for yourself. It's one of the things that makes me chuckle, because obviously half the time I'm doing consulting, coaching, and mentoring, I'm saying, that's a good idea for my business. And I think it's quite nice to kick it around. And actually, this is the kind of thing I wouldn't have thought to mind map. But all of a sudden, I'm thinking, actually, I do need to, how can I make an impact? How can I make an impact before, during, and after? How do I look after myself? Is it wrong to steal cutlery and champagne glasses from that? All these things now going on in my head, but it's also makes you think about, how can I maximize the opportunity? And I think it's the same with all of our businesses. We all want to maximize the opportunity of our business, no matter what it is. And this is just a different way of thinking about it, which is great. And
I have one other idea. Is there something you can bring as a leave behind, or something memorable to get this community in the hands of the people that you want to meet with? So just the thought of some sort of leave behind.
I saw putting some "Don't be boring" stickers up all over the toilets and all over the bathrooms everywhere.
Exactly. The kind that don't come off, that ruin the wood of the tables and all the things. But yes, something fun to be memorable.
This is where we need Hildy.
Yes, where's Hildy with the swag? But this is just such a fun exercise. I think it took us 5 minutes to mind map this. And this is something that both Jason and I said that we would happily do for any of you and anyone listening. If you call us or put 15 minutes on our calendar, there's a button on my Calendly that you can book 15 minutes. I will happily do this with you anytime, because I just think it's so fun, and it's just something that we all need when we're blocked on something, or just some sort of encouragement.
It's taking the stress out, Laura. It's taking the stress. I mean, not that it's stressful, because it's kind of exciting, but there's also that little bit where you always think, I don't want to leave anything behind.
Right.
And I think it's good for preparation. And you've just made me think, okay, what can I do for social media?
Yeah.
Other than suggest that we retake America and forgive it for its past sins of tea dumping.
Yes. So I put leave behinds in there too. And I'll give you this after, Richard, so you can.
But even having the circle, even having the spoke that says follow up, right? When you think about follow up, how you're going to follow up, that's going to trace back towards, well, now I need to know that I have something to make sure that I give them, like Elizabeth's business cards, digital cards, or things like that, so I can follow up. Or you follow up is what's the first line of the email follow up? Well, okay, you're going there with the target of capturing something personal about them, or something, so that when you kick this off, you completely start off with this, or it's that lead in again of, what's great is you're giving them the shoes, you're giving them something to reply back to you, which is also nice, right? When you make it a soft lob for somebody to reach out to you with that, hit the baseball.
Jason, wearing the shoes last time when I went in January, what was really interesting was 2 people I mentored recognized the shoes before they saw me, but also the people that invited me came and had a conversation with me. The people I'd not met before came and had a conversation that then got me invited to the AI conference, that then got me invited to And I think there's that little bit where it's about making an impact. Now, I know that I can make an impact in person, face to face, because I've got the ability to do that. But in a sea of kind of, I don't know, how can I put this tactfully? Boringness, like with the way that people like dress and come across. Actually, it's quite interesting because it does make an impact. And it was amazing because the photographer at the event came up to me at the end and said, "Where did you get them from? Because I want a pair." And all of it, and it opens doors. Now, I didn't do it for that reason, because I've seen other people do it for a reason. And there's a guy that used to go networking locally with like this cuddly toy of his business. It was just like painful. I do it because I actually like the shoes. And bizarrely, it has opened doors.
Thank you for sharing that. You're going to rock it. When is it? When is the visit, Richard?
I've just got it. It's May the 12th. And what's insane is that evening I've got to go to university for my studies. And it's just, when you just have one of those, I know Sean's just had a week of it in Vegas and he got to hand out with Scotty as well. But the point of it is, you have those days and you just think to yourself, bloody hell, I'm going to be tired at the end of that, but happy. And it's one of them.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that was fun. Thanks everybody for your ideas.
All right, Laura, pass the baton. Take the lead.
Okay. Well, we heard, you were going to go to Ian. So Ian, can you take 60 seconds and tell us what you do and any thoughts on mind mapping or tips?
Yeah, definitely. Ian Hawksworth, EHS Recruiting Company. We recruit leadership talent for restaurants and hospitality organizations nationwide and with a focus in Southern California for my office. Mind mapping is kind of a new one for me. I have always been a very organic creativity person, moment of inspiration type person. And it's always doing the most mundane things, right? Like taking a walk, taking a shower, just random things pop in my head. And then I'm like, oh, I need to capture this immediately afterwards. And so this is a fun concept for me to dive more into actually, a formalized way to get the creative juices flowing a little bit more. So for content or for whatever the purpose may be for business, I hadn't thought about it for some of those applications that we talked about today. So that's awesome.
Thank you, Ian. Thanks for sharing. Jason, you want to go around the room more? I know we haven't heard from Tom.
Take 60 seconds, introduce yourself, and then tell us your thoughts on mind mapping experience or curiosity.
Been doing mind mapping for about 10 years now. And my drawings are woven.
Tom, can you turn up your microphone any chance? You're a little bit faint.
Does this sound better?
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic.
It's called projection. It's not called the microphone.
Well, projection, microphone, either way, we'd love to hear your voice. Go for it.
I've been doing mind mapping for about a decade now, and I now feel woefully unarmed because of the lack of creativity on mine. It's basically a series of spreadsheets that I've been using my mind mapping with, very linear. And I'm impressed with the openness, and I'm going to check out Canva now. For me, I'm an executive recruiter in senior leadership in the restaurant hospitality space and related technologies. And what I have found is that trying to put my thoughts on individuals when I'm communicating with them has been the most interesting aspects of mind mapping. I've taken mind mapping to how I deal and approach and analyze, for lack of better terms, other people.
Can you give an example? Let's pick a person and work backwards for us.
Okay, let me start with Shawn when I first met him. Well, just kidding. What I find that a lot of what I do is based on perception and intuition. And in our age now, it's about data and driving those elements. So I have to knuckle down as to why my analysis, and that's more the focus for a mind map. If I have an idea about a person, I will drill into it when I'm talking to them.
And so let's say the center of the circle is person, right? And then you break off into communication, and it could be then vocal and then writing and things that you're looking for, right? And then under writing, spelling, formatting, right? Things like that kind of
more about let's try this. Let's take ideas. So when we're dealing with concepts, my questioning will be, what led you to make it? I want to seek to understand what led them to a choice or decision, so that the follow through. So the questioning is, you've given me an if then, and I'm exposing the deeper elements. What brought you to there? It might be something that might be formative, what I learned when I was 5 type of thing. And that's what I try to drill down to. I want to truly understand the individual at a truly intimate level.
Yeah, and maybe kind of get to their why. So you pick at certain things. So Laura, if one would be their why of doing something, right? And so types of questions that you would ask to make sure that they're not just looking for a job, they're looking for a career path that aligns with them. Because I would think with both you and Ian, right, in the recruiting industries, fishing out if somebody's just they need a paycheck, in which case they're not there for a long time, most likely, or potentially. Their why. Cool. Appearance. I would just punctuality. All it's just fun. Like I'm thinking about how you really could break that down. How I've not thought of it in that way of looking at a person. That's cool. One other quick thing before we pass it off, Tom, you got a new partnership to talk about that I saw. That's exciting, right? Jeff Mano? No. No, I thought I was someone was. All right. Well, it's been great. Somebody, you got one coming where somebody was talking about reaching out to you. So
Okay,
you got,
there we go.
yeah, you got one coming. That's exciting. Where your name was people were excited and talking about with using and working with you. So I was excited to celebrate that. All right, we're done with that side of it. We're gonna move over to we'll put that in another episode. Maddie, you helped out with Richards. What about take 60 seconds, introduce yourself, and talk about how you're viewing or your experience with mind mapping.
Thank you. So I'm Matty Smokes, chef and co-owner at JJ Cooper's and pitmaster owner of Matty Smokes Barbecue and Catering, based out of Long Beach. Just a growing entrepreneur, passionate about the food and beverage industry, really trying to expand my network and grow as much as possible. When it comes to mind mapping, I never really thought about it. I've never personally done it for much of anything. But I kind of have always taken bullet points and really mapped things out on like Word documents and bullet points and expanded on them. So it's the same sort of thing, but I think the visualization of it on a mind map in something like Canva is really going to help to keep it more organized and break it down. So I know something that I have a full intention of doing. Right now it's really maximizing my career and trying to figure out where it's going to build and where it's going to go for the future. So that's going to kind of be my center ball. And then as things are coming across my plate, I want to work all around it from there and then go down to pros and cons of them all. And it'll help me definitely break it down and figure out where I want to go a little bit more.
It's
I
a
love
great
that.
tool. Go.
Oh, just Maddie, the idea of staying focused on what excites you and what you could have fun with. And, as I said earlier, the idea of the amount of time that we spend on our computer. And I know, Shawn, you're like me. If I can get it done on my smartphone, I absolutely will. I mean, I just feel like I spend so much time looking at a computer screen. And for whatever reason, even though it's smaller, I love to do everything on my smartphone. So when I ask AI for tools to help me with something, I always say, what's a tool that I can use on my smartphone to do this? What's an app that is mobile optimized to do this? But I again encourage.
Laura, I think we lost you on mute.
Is it back?
Yep.
It's
Hello,
back.
hello. Okay, good.
Hello.
But yeah, just the idea of kind of putting your creative side with pen and paper and stepping away from the computer or even the phone to really sit and think about what's exciting to Maddie about the next steps, or what part of your job do you love and what do you want to spend more time doing?
Yeah, it's great. And this idea of I love the pros and cons, and putting together those lists where really there's no wrong way to get it out, because what's so important is just getting out of your own way and just getting it down. And there's a time to be prescribed, and there's a time to like really think and chisel, and then there's a time to just Jackson Pollock that shit and throw it against a wall and just see what comes out. What's that, Manny?
You're
Oh,
on
you're on
mute.
mute. If you just press the space bar, we'll get you.
There we go. Just to be able to visualize it
Yeah.
It's
is a
huge.
big help.
Yeah, and as a creative person, right? It really helps you just kind of see it and then organize it. And then I'm sure where AI is going, you take a photo of it. I bet you could probably, Elizabeth, tell me if I'm wrong, put it on a piece of paper, take a photo, drop it into chat GPT and say, now turn it into a task item list, and then give me dates and hold me accountable. And I bet you it would do that immediately.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we're getting there, especially with the most recent update. So
Yeah, that's really cool. Shawn, introduce yourself and talk to us about what's going through the Shawn brain as we're talking about mind mapping, that you're excited to call Stover and say, Stover, we got to mind map this, and get back to me on how it worked out.
My name's Shawn Walchef. I help hospitality brands and leaders tell better stories on the internet. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Laura. And thank you, Ian, for stepping up and hosting this Rising Tides community. We are grateful. If you guys are listening and you want to co-host, please let us know. We have lots of opportunities to co-host this show. If you have a topic that you want us to discuss, please let us know. And please subscribe on YouTube, because all of these cool drawings and pictures look so much better when you get to see what Elizabeth did and Jason and Laura, if you're watching on YouTube. But if you're listening on the digital hospitality feed, we appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing, because we do repurpose this on digital hospitality. The mind mapping is cool. It's something, honestly, the mind map probably just happens naturally in my brain, but I like the idea of actually writing it down, because it seems like I go from my mind to a to-do list. And if I started with a mind map, then it would actually help me see maybe circles that I didn't see. Because every time that I see a visualization of, like, let's call it Chicago National Restaurant Show, like, I can't really put that in the center, because in the center, it's like, well, what's day one look like? What's day two look like? What's day three look like? So it's like, I have all of these other to-do lists that stem from the one circle, but I like the visualization idea, and I'm going to try to use it, because I think there's probably circles that I don't see, and circles that I can do deeper work and actually come up with deeper to-do lists, and then go back.
It'll protect you from overwhelm as well.
For sure. Absolutely. I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
And
great
Shawn,
conversation.
I like that. And I'm also thinking for your kids, when they're working through a challenge, how much fun would that be to either have them get out a paper and pen, colored markers, crayons, and just put the central idea of what they're frustrated about and say, in what ways might we make this more fun, or make this, easier, or I'm excited to try that with JJ, my little 8-week-old grandchild.
That's awesome.
And rush him right into the
really
mind
good idea.
mapping.
And a shout out to the Walchef Wolfpack. They had their first digital hospitality episode. So I interviewed both my son and my daughter in Las Vegas, and then they co-hosted with me with Jim Taylor. So they put Jim Taylor, who is part of our Rising Tides community. He's over in Vancouver, Canada, and we interviewed him and asked him about how do you build a profitable lemonade stand, and explain it to my 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. So they asked him questions about marketing and operations and recipe costing. So we put him on the hot seat. So that episode will be coming up soon.
Shawn, how much do the kids charge you for this? What's their fees?
As long as I get them tokens at Claw World, then we have a deal. So Claw World, shout out to Claw World. If you have kids and you go to Vegas, it's 10 minutes off the strip. It is better. It's better than gambling for kids. My kids absolutely loved it.
I have not heard of this. Do they serve food and drinks at Claw World? And should I be talking to them?
It is in a shopping center. It is a probably 1,000 square foot retail space that is full with probably 20 different claw machines with plush toys.
Oh
You
my
give
goodness.
them
Okay.
money, they give you tokens, and you go and you win toys, and you can upgrade the toys into bigger toys.
Okay. Everybody loves that the stuffed animals slide right out and you give them more tokens.
Yeah, it's like I don't. Yeah, it's an amazing concept. I mean, they had. We were there on a Monday night at 8 p.m. They closed at 9 p.m. and they probably had 40 people come through their store and spend anywhere from $20 to $200.
Oh my goodness.
It's a beautiful business
per hour,
Wow.
per hour on a Monday night.
Crazy.
for every 10 minutes.
My friend
Two
has one
people-
here
two-
called Claw
Two
Cake.
people working, the owner and one other person.
Really?
So here's what's funny, right? So here's the way my brain goes to this. And Maddie, right on the operational side of it is here's a question I would ask. How fast do those claw cranes move? Like from the start point, because some of them from the old days, they go like this. Other ones, they go too fast. You know, when you go too fast where they jump the shark and they can't, because it's all about how short amount of time. Like, I want to know, do they have that KPI from the second the
For
kid
sure.
drops the coin in to the second they leave? What's that KPI and how do we shorten it?
For
Like,
sure.
that's what I geek out over.
It's amazing. It's a magical business.
That's cool. Laura,
Excellent.
any way to mind map our way out of this? As we say, shalom. Do you want to mind map? What do we have to do? So we want to make sure before we say goodbye, right? We need to have we do a tip and a takeaway. We need salutations,
Yes.
Call to action,
call to action.
housekeeping.
Oh,
All right, now you're getting carried away. This is all just
I know.
Jason,
This is-
love to the producers.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
Love
to our
to the
That's part of-
producers.
That's part of housekeeping.
Okay. Shawn,
Okay.
do you want to do our housekeeping?
Yeah, housekeeping is please subscribe, Cali Barbecue Media YouTube page. Go to betheshow.media/rising tides to sign up for our newsletter. We also have a Slack channel, a LinkedIn chat, and an Instagram chat. Follow us. You can send an email to podcast@calibbq.media, and we will add you to any of the chats. And we will be live again next week, next Wednesday, every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. London time, and 1 p.m. Eastern time.
And thank you. And yes, to Mike and Stover, thank you very much. All the pre-gaming and everything. What a great team that's really dedicated to make sure these things are happening. We're going to do tip takeaway, action item, and or homework assignment. Going from the top of the screen. Tom Spry, you're up first. Project.
You're muted, Tom.
I know I'm muted and I'm trying.
Oh, there we are.
Struggling with my own computer.
Okay.
Takeaways, all of you have a great weekend. That's all I can give you. Touch grass, I think is the phrase the cool kids are using. And Laura, keep up the Instagram content with your grandchild.
Aw, thank you, Tom. Thanks for being here.
Love it. Richard, you're going to mind map?
Mine is to WhatsApp Laura to get the mind map and then start playing with that. But also just say thank you to everyone. It's really appreciated. Thank you.
Love it. You're welcome. Maddie Smokes?
My homework is definitely to start my own mind map and basically how to maximize my career and build a future and start to figure out what the path may be.
I like
Thank you
it.
for
You know,
having
you
me.
got Laura and I. Hit that click.
Yep.
She'll ping me.
Reach
We're
out.
available
We'll
for
do-
you.
We'll do a mind map
Absolutely,
with
will
you.
do.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Elizabeth
Maddie.
Doss.
Yeah, sure thing. First off, my next to-do list is going to be a claw machine, I think.
Ooh.
So thanks for
Picking up the
inspiration on that.
different.
The other thing, yes, picking up the different things that I need to do. And now I'm thinking I might need to write a book of blank to-do lists that are just drawings that people can fill in for themselves. That was the other thought I had. Write that one down. No, the one thing I wanted to say is one thing I have found in doing this is I start to see the workflows that are repeating in, especially working from client to client, and you can actually build out a mind map like workflow type thing, whether in Freeform or in the whiteboards on Canva with a little post-it notes like this is what I normally do first and you start building that out so you don't Because one thing I have found difficult for myself is when I get to the place where I don't know what to do next. Even though I've done the same thing over and over again, it's been really helpful to start to build out those workflows. So use your mind map in that way, thinking, how can I build a workflow from this that I can repurpose across things? Anyway, great conversation. Thank you, Jason and Laura.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
That's great. It's great because you got to turn it right. If you can have a template that it's recreatable, and then this mind map has to turn into something, or doesn't have to, but it has the opportunity to. Ian.
Yeah, thanks Jason and Laura for hosting. It was interesting to learn more and see the examples, because I've heard a lot about mind mapping. I just haven't put it to practice myself, but now I have a list of 2 or 3 items for homework assignments that I'm going to get started on and see how it helps me kind of think from some topics from another angle and kind of encompass everything. So appreciate it.
Yeah, and
Thank
you know,
you,
even
Ian.
in that idea of how you look at people, and then which was really kind of fun. Shawn Walchef.
Yeah. My homework assignment is to mind map Chicago. It's going to be a big map, so I'm going to need a big butcher sheet of paper, but it's all in my head, and I will put it all down, and then we'll see how it goes. I'll share the results. Next Wednesday, we're doing a Google strategy session with Claudia Tomina. So please join us next Wednesday for Google strategy talk.
Awesome.
I like it. I look forward to it. Will you put down for in Chicago and assign it to Troy because we were going to do the Rising Tide meetup.
I
Right,
will assign Troy anything and everything. Give me
he said he took it on. He's not a busy guy.
He's going to do what? What is he going to do?
We were talking about. I mean, if we'll do the 4 o'clock meetup and whatnot, but we were talking about even getting somebody to host, or where we could all kind of after 5, right when it shuts down, we go there first and talk, because we all find ourselves so excited to see each other IRL that that we were missing in the booths and stuff like this.
Okay.
And we
Troy
had this
has
great
homework.
plan.
Fantastic.
With Troy's resources, as far as he can just get him in, and he has homework, and he's good. So let's assign him that. Laura.
Hey, one thing about the National Restaurant Association show, Dinova has some amazing restaurant partners there. So if you're looking for a place to, go to eat or something, I can share that with you. And I just wanted to share kind of a tip or a takeaway, an idea. And I think, Maddie, this speaks to your idea of kind of your career and what's next. The way that you can use mind mapping. If you I attended a vision board workshop at the beginning of this year, and naturally I took my notes were in vision board style or in mind map style. So for me, it's fun to look back at this, and I came up with my word for the year, which is light. And the idea is twofold. Light, like be lighthearted, be easy. Don't take things too seriously, have more fun, but also shine light on my clients and what great things they're doing. Shine light for all of you on the fun things that you're doing, kind of showcase and amplify and shine light. So that's fun to have a word for the year like that. And then the spokes were really just, some of the things that I want more of in my life. Dancer, be silly, do reformer Pilates, be a fun mom and a fun grandma. So much fun can be had when you take notes and use the mind map tool to figure out what brings you joy.
Thank you for that. My homework is to review my original mind map of the year of content and see where I am as coming around the corner of the first Q1, is look at what I've done and haven't done in my element of where I started at content, and I broke it off into how I will produce more this year, and then review that and put that into place of action items for Q2 now, in what's working, what's not, as far as producing content. And that's something, on brand and on topic for all of us here, which we all are responsible for or have the opportunity to do. And my takeaway is my appreciation for my co-host. Laura, who I just am here with you guys on today because I just wanted a reason to geek out with her over something and to be able to share it with everybody and to bring this to light together. So thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Jason. And quick story about today's topic. I was really rushed when Jason reached out about the topic, and he said, should we call it something? Well, first off, I thought I got the date wrong, and I'm like, sorry, I'm not available. And then I also did not read the email to see that he came up with 10 amazing titles for the show. All I read was, are you available Friday, and any ideas for what to call it? So my tip on that is, thoroughly read the messages from your friends before you respond. And when I came back with my idea for the title for today's show, Jason said, that is like paint drying. And I said that to my husband, and we both laughed so hard because I'm like, I completely missed this entire thing. So Jason, all the thanks goes to you for making this mind mapping thing happen, not going with my paint drying boring suggestion after not reading and getting the date wrong.
Good stuff. All right, we make each other stronger in our community. Shawn, you sending us off with anything? Dan?
As always, stay curious, get involved. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And a rising tide lifts all ships. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Go do your mind map.
And let's see. Make sure everybody's